What's up, everybody? Happy Monday to you. Welcome to the first reset of the year.
Well, what is up, everybody? My name is Aiden Harrison Johnson. Today is Monday, January 6th, 2020. Let's reset.
So as you get ready for this awesome year ahead, I want you to keep this in mind, that there are some places, and yes, there are even some geographical territories that God has given you. The Bible says that it gives the Father good pleasure to give you and I the kingdom. And I think that there are some things, there are some places that you are walking into, that there are some opportunities that God is giving you. And don't think that you're just walking in there blindly, that God has already sent angels ahead of you. And not only that, God himself has prepared the way, that God has arrived on the scene. His Spirit is there stirring up all the things that you need, and he's preparing for your arrival. As my son was getting ready to come on home to Daddy's house the other day, I found myself, when I was getting ready to go pick him up in the middle of the night on Hawaii time, I found myself, before I left in the middle of the night, straightening up. Yeah, I know that he's gonna come in and we're probably gonna throw things around and things are gonna get messy, but I found myself putting things where they needed to go. I found myself even at 1 o'clock in the morning fluffing pillows. Why? Because I knew that my son was coming. Could you tell that I cleaned up? Yeah, you better have said yes.
Yes, I do.
I knew that my son was coming, and I wanted to prepare for his arrival. And yes, I was taking into account and I was factoring in the fact that we were probably going to be up and again, we were going to throw things everywhere. We were going to be playing games. His clothes, his suitcases were going to be everywhere. But still, the fact that he's my child and I was excited to see him caused me to prepare for his arrival anyway. And I want to let you know that God has factored in everything that you're going to go through this year. That as you embark on new territories, as you now embark on new opportunities, Paul put it this way. Paul, the Apostle Paul, the Apostle Paul, he said, listen, a door of opportunity has been opened unto me. It's a great door to do effective work, although there are many that oppose me. So with all that God has opened up for you, all that God has opened up to you, that God has factored in your mess, the mess that you would create, just as I factored in. Yes, I want to clean up. I'm preparing for my son's arrival, but I'm factoring in the fact that we're going to mess some things up. God has factored in your mess. He still has given you some things, and your name is on some things. It gives him good pleasure to give you what belongs to you as the seed of Abraham. Every promise that God gave to Abraham, he's also given to you. The Bible says in Leviticus 25 from the Classic Amplified that you're going to receive your ancestral possession. There are some things that you didn't sow for, but you're going to reap it. You're going to reap where you have not sown. You're going to reap when other people sow. You didn't sow it, but you're about to reap it. And listen, those things have your name on it, but God is preparing for your arrival. God factored in that even though your name is on these things, listen, you're going to create some mess. But he's also factored in the mess that your enemy will try to create, that your enemies will try to create. You know you got some enemies, right? Like that bully I told you about, when she called me names, I told you to talk about her mama, right? Okay, all right, fine. But God factored in your enemies. The Bible says that he will prepare a table for you right in the presence of your enemies. That God has factored in those things. You may not be able to see or to be privy to all that your enemies will try to do this year, but guess what? It doesn't matter. It's kind of like the children of Israel when God had given them a land that was promised to them. And when they sent in some folks to go see what was going on in the land, the report came back that there were some giants in the land. Well, how can God promise them something, but then there be enemies, there be giants in the land? Well, here's the thing. The giants didn't matter, because at the end of the day, God had still promised it. That it was still theirs, so the giants were non-factor. That's what you're going to do when you go back to school and if people start trying to mess with you. If the bullies try to mess with you, you know what you're going to look at them? You're going to say non-factor, non-factor, non-factor. Go ahead, practice. Non-factor, non-factor, non-factor. Why? Because the giants in the land, the bullies, the enemies, they have nothing to do with the end result and the destiny that God has for you. God has prepared for your arrival. He's factored in your mess, the mess that you will create. The fact that, listen, you don't always do right. I don't always do right. You always do right, right? Oh, come on. God has factored in the fact that we don't always do right. He's also factored in all that our enemies will try to do to us. All that stuff will happen. He's factored in when we mess up sometimes and the GPS tells us to go left and we're going right. God has factored in all of those things. But guess what? God is still preparing for your arrival. You remember that story with the prodigal son, right? The prodigal son, he had done some things that probably wouldn't make his family happy, wouldn't make his father happy. But the prodigal son, he came back, the prodigal came back and said, Dad, I'm here, I know I messed up and everything like that. When he was still a far way off, the Bible says when he was still in the distance, Daddy saw him. Daddy saw him and welcomed him in with open arms. There's a old song that said, have you ever seen God run? And that's what happens when God runs to us. And God ran to you. God ran to me. God is running to you. God ran ahead of us to prepare for our arrival and all that 2020 will bring. And the prodigal, his son, his father welcomed him in, gave him a hug, and he said, listen, quick, somebody get him the best robe. Somebody get that meat together, get that cow together. Listen, we're gonna throw a party. Why? He said, listen, I'm preparing for my son's arrival. He's back in the game, he's here, and that's what God is doing for you. So what does it look like when God prepares for your arrival? Well, he prepares a table for you right in the presence of your enemies. Yeah, he factors in your mess. He factors in the mess of the enemies. Paul said, again, there are many that oppose me. Even though God has prepared for my arrival and has prepared things for me, God doesn't care about the giants in the land. You shouldn't care about the giants in the land because they're what? Non-factors. They are non-factors. So go forth in 2020, man. You got this. God is preparing for your arrival. Your Father loves you. This is going to be a great year. Close it out, son. You got anything to say?
Peace.
Happy New Year. Have a great year. Peace. Bless somebody, share this with somebody, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Okay, peace, seriously.